People always think cruise ships are the safest vacations on Earth. Thousands of people, security cameras everywhere, crew members in every hallway. So explain this. On the 5th night of our Caribbean cruise, my sister took a picture of me standing alone on deck 12. When we looked at it later, someone was standing behind me. A woman wearing an old white uniform. The ship's officers later told us there had never been anyone standing there. But that's impossible, because the next morning, one passenger disappeared, and when security reviewed every camera, the same woman appeared in the footage. Only one problem. She wasn't on the passenger list. She wasn't on the crew list. According to the cruise line, she had died on that very ship 32 years earlier. This is exactly what happened. I booked the cruise because I desperately needed a break. I'd spent almost 2 years working overtime without taking a vacation. My younger sister Emily convinced me to join her on a 7-day Caribbean cruise aboard a luxury liner called the Ocean Serenity. The ship looked incredible. 15 passenger decks, swimming pools, restaurants open all day, movie theater, casino. Everything felt like a floating city. The first 3 days were perfect. We explored tropical islands, watched sunsets from the upper deck, made friends with another couple from Texas named Ryan and Melissa. Nothing seemed unusual. Until night 4, around midnight, Emily wanted ice cream. The buffet had closed, but a cafe on deck 8 stayed open 24 hours. We walked through nearly empty hallways. Cruise ships never become completely silent. You always hear engines, air vents, the distant sound of waves. But halfway down the corridor, everything went quiet. Even the engine noise disappeared. Emily stopped walking. Do you hear that? Hear what? Exactly. She was right. There was nothing, not even the vibration of the ship. For about 5 seconds, the world felt frozen. Then, the engines returned with a deep rumble. People laughed nearby. Music started playing again, like someone had pressed unpause. We looked at each other. Neither of us said anything. The next morning, we laughed it off. Maybe we'd imagined it. Maybe cruise ships had weird soundproof sections. That explanation lasted until night 5. Ryan invited us to watch the stars from deck 12. Most passengers were asleep. The ocean looked endless. No land. No lights. Only darkness. Melissa took pictures with her phone. One photo showed me leaning against the railing. Everything looked normal, until she zoomed in. Behind me stood a woman. She wore an old-fashioned white uniform, not modern cruise attire. More like something from the 1980s. Her hair covered half her face. She wasn't looking at the camera. She was staring directly at me. Melissa lowered her phone. Who's that? I turned immediately. Nobody. The deck was empty. We searched everywhere. Nothing. Ryan joked someone had walked away between the photo and us turning around. Except the timestamp showed less than 1 second had passed. We showed the picture to guest services the next day. The employee smiled politely, probably assuming we wanted free drinks or compensation. She called security anyway. An officer named Daniels arrived. He studied the picture much longer than expected. Then his expression changed. Would you mind emailing me this image? I asked why. He hesitated. Probably just a camera glitch. It didn't sound convincing. That evening, everything changed. An announcement echoed across the ship. Attention guests. If anyone has seen passenger Daniel Morris from cabin 9274, please contact guest services. Nobody panicked. People go missing briefly on cruise ships all the time. Casinos, bars, pools, huge ships. Easy to lose someone. But by midnight, helicopters surrounded us. Searchlights scanned the ocean. The captain announced an emergency search. Daniel Morris had vanished. No luggage missing, no passport missing, no sign of him leaving the ship. He had simply disappeared. The next morning, rumors spread everywhere. Someone claimed he'd jumped overboard. Someone else said he'd been arrested. Others insisted he'd never boarded the ship. Nobody knew the truth. Emily and I visited the bridge observation tour we'd booked earlier. It was canceled. Instead, security officers questioned dozens of passengers, including us. Officer Daniels asked about the woman in our photograph. I asked whether they'd identified her. He stayed silent. Then he asked something strange. Did she speak to either of you? No. Did she touch anyone? No. He nodded. Good. That answer terrified me. Unable to sleep, I wandered the ship around 2 a.m. The hallways were almost empty. Near stairwell C, I saw someone standing perfectly still. White uniform, long dark hair, exactly like the woman in the photograph. She faced the wall, not moving. I froze. She slowly turned her head, not her body, just her head, farther than any normal neck should rotate. Then she smiled, not wide, not dramatic, just enough. I blinked. She was gone. I ran back to our cabin. Emily believed me immediately. Neither of us slept. Around sunrise, someone knocked. Officer Daniels. He entered quietly, then closed the door. I shouldn't be telling you this. He placed an old black and white photograph on the table. It showed a cruise crew standing together. One woman wore the exact same uniform, same hairstyle, same face. Her name was Margaret Ellis, cabin steward. She disappeared during a storm. Never found. Officially listed as missing at sea. I stared at him. "And then who's been appearing?" He answered softly. "We've received reports every few years." I asked if passengers always saw her. "No, only before someone disappears." I laughed nervously. "Ghost stories?" Officer Daniels didn't laugh. "The company doesn't discuss it." He collected the photograph. Before leaving, he looked directly at me. "If you see her again, do not follow." That warning lasted exactly 6 hours. Emily disappeared. It happened during dinner. She went to refill her drink. Never came back. At first I thought she'd met friends. Then I searched every restaurant, every lounge, every pool. Nothing. Security launched another search. Cabin untouched. Phone left charging. Passport still inside the safe. Exactly like Daniel Morris. Officer Daniels reviewed security footage with me. Emily walked down corridor 11B. She stopped suddenly, like someone had called her name. She turned, smiled, then walked after someone who never appeared on camera. Emily simply kept following empty space. Around one corner, she vanished. The next camera never captured her entering. No exits, no elevators, no stairwells, nothing. Just gone. I refused to accept it. That night, ignoring Daniel's warning, I went looking. Deck 3, crew-only hallway. The place where Margaret had reportedly worked decades ago. The corridor smelled like salt water and old metal. Lights flickered constantly. Every cabin door looked abandoned. Then I heard humming, soft, gentle, coming from the end of the hallway. Margaret stood there, facing away. She slowly began walking. Without thinking, I followed. She never hurried, never looked back. She stopped beside an old maintenance door. The door slowly opened by itself. Inside, I saw dozens of suitcases, old uniforms, broken luggage tags, personal belongings covered in dust. Then I recognized one backpack. Emily's, fresh, still dry. I stepped inside. The room suddenly became freezing cold. Margaret finally turned toward me. Behind her, I could see people, dozens of them, standing silently. Passengers, crew members, some wearing clothing from the 1980s. Others looked modern. Daniel Morris stood among them. Emily stood beside him. Neither moved. Neither blinked. Their eyes were completely black. Emily raised one hand, not waving, pointing. Behind me. I turned. The door slammed shut. Darkness. When I woke up, I was lying in the ship's medical center. The crews had already returned to port. They claimed they'd found me unconscious in a restricted hallway. Emily was officially listed as missing, just like Daniel, just like Margaret. Months later, the cruise company refunded my ticket. No explanation, no apology. The end, that's for today. Subscribe Ghost Fair YouTube channel for more horror stories. Goodbye.